I just
Nice to
happened
see you.
to, yeah, exactly. I'm really happy to scroll on Maggie's page on YouTube and all of a sudden, oh, Angela's going to be on it. How fun, because I really enjoy both of the way that you guys point. Um, found Maggie, I found you through Angelo, and different ways. Like, I really appreciate that Maggie's talked about how she saw it as shifts in perception because that helped me rather than like shifts in identity that I didn't resonate as much as shifts in perception. And so that's been unfolding for the last couple of years. And so your languaging there has been great. I really enjoy your channel. I don't think we've ever met in person, but it's been
Thank
really,
you.
really beautiful because the humanity part is so important to me. And yeah, it's right there. And they've even more and more powerful of the last couple I've seen. So thank you very much. One more comment that kind of maybe leads into my question, but I think we really need to have like you really need to do a show on is it awakening or is it perimenopause? Because
Yes.
because like emotional instability and mood swings, like check, check. Can't remember shit, like check, check. And for me, I've been having a lot of just like, so I went to Angelo's retreat in, well, multi-facilitated retreat in May. And ever since then, I've been having these like squeezing pulses in my body, not quite like Kundalini. It's not coming from the bottom, it's a lot in the shoulders and neck. And I've always had a lot more tension there, but it seems so it's a problem. And also the fact that it wakes me up or prevents me from going to sleep, but especially wakes me up in the morning is a problem. And I can't really, like, I can kind of witness it, I can kind of accept it, but. I can also now be in more unbound consciousness, or more accessible. So I can almost like thoughts don't even get to form, or at least they don't become verbal because they've already been like, I'm already alert to them in the space from which they form. That I don't know how else to say it, but that's fairly new. So some of that I can maybe catch some of the tension before it comes. But yeah, thoughts and like when I'm trying to sleep are still a problem. And so is this kind of squeezing tension in the shoulders. So I'm open to any, I know, like energetic symptoms are very common. I'm a body worker. Uh, so that, looking for guidance for sure.
Can you tell me like a little bit more about the description, more about the feeling you're talking about the squeezing in your shoulders, like just like kind of dial into it with description.
Yeah, it occurs especially like around this part of my body, but it could be anywhere from the chest to the neck. Could be in the back, but mostly right now it's like arms, like just the top of my shoulders. And it feels very much like muscular tension, like it's tight, but it
Hmm.
often is when I inhale, it's tight, and when I exhale, it loosens. But I can't even catch it until the exhale. Sometimes I feel it in like my legs and lower like pelvic region, but I don't notice it that much. But it's not, it's timed a little bit with the breath, it seems to be. And yeah, just there doesn't seem to be much quality other than tension that I could say. Like, yeah, but
Is
I
there
say
any
squeeze because it's
go
rhythmic.
ahead.
Yeah.
I was just going to say, is there any emotion associated with it at all?
Oh, not when it comes on, but after like if it inhibits sleep, because I have it during the daytime too. Sometimes I'll notice it, but it doesn't bother me then, but it just seems to be sleep seems to be a problem. I will say I did get a bodywork session from a very energetic body worker, and he did some Hawaiian, it's called bone washing, and released a lot from my back and this area, and it got better after that, but it didn't go away. But he mentioned fear.
Hmm.
I'm not
Hmm.
feeling fear at the moment though.
Hmm. Yeah. And is it one-sided at all, or does it seem to be symmetric?
Symmetric.
Hmm. Yeah.
So I was going to go on to a different topic, but that could possibly be related because sometimes I feel like I there's fear in the system that I can't even just. can't even go into. Like, so I can't, I'd like to follow the fear. I know there's great things on the other side of the fear, but something often bounces out really quickly.
Mm.
That could be a story. I don't know.
Mm. Yeah. Sounds like it's probably related, the fact that it's come up, that that clearly for you. It sounds like it, but who knows? Yeah. Um, have you ever really kind of like inquired into it, like asking it what it's trying to tell you or what it wants or anything
Yeah.
like that? Does it get, do you have any sense of that?
One night, I did actually it was like very early, maybe like 3 a.m. And I asked that and I didn't get a story, but I got the body sensation of what it was like to have like to be sobbing or crying in a way, maybe like not getting what I wanted. Like,
Mm,
I don't know what time this came from. There was no story about it. It was just like I knew what it felt like to be like inconsolably crying and wanting something, and it seemed very young. That was the only,
mm,
but it really didn't change the pattern. Um,
hmm.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, these patterns run very deep, like somatically, they run deep energetically, and they often do represent something sort of frozen or stuck or just not completely accessed. And it's definitely pre-verbal, nonverbal. So it's hard to inquire in that way even, but that's good that you had some access to that. And that feels totally accurate to me. And even the fear associated with that, if you're able to at any point really invoke that little one, not as an image in your mind, but like really feeling that very young energy, and it could have been very early, and feeling that need for nourishment or emotional connection or regulation and not having it. And if you really go into that, you might actually find the fear there because there's a lot of fear associated with that in those sort of young developmental stages for sure. And we forget the fear because we use thoughts and imaging and the mind even at a pretty young age to avoid it. But it's a terrible it's a very intense fear actually.
Mm.
It's an existential fear that there's nothing to support me, that my one lifeline to everything, mother or whoever the primary caretaker is literally just not here right now. And once you've formed a self structure, that self structure is going to mitigate that by starting to imagine yourself as someone who could find that or get to that or get back to that, or even somehow with the mind kind of moving away from that fundamental sense of terror. Actually, it's very intense. So I would probably explore that somehow, if you can sit quietly and sort of invoke that little one, and really see, and you can follow the sensation into that. Actually, use the sensations almost as like a conduit, or like a pathway of breadcrumbs to just gently just with total curiosity, just follow it back in. It'll feel at first like a subtle balancing, because it'll be very easy to not go there because all of our coping mechanisms try to prevent that actually.
Mm.
And our coping mechanisms are all, or many of them are thought based, right? And so the sense of self, any sense of identity is going to be there. All of those things are going to be like the protectors, but it doesn't mean you can't go into it. It's just a matter of the subtle feeling like the breadcrumbs down through the sensations themselves, through the actual sensations, like into, so you're not trying to fix the sensations or heal them or understand them. It's actually using them as like a staircase to go down little by little until you start to feel that subtle vibration of the emotional texture that you're talking about. You've already felt it once. I would do that and just keep at it. And you can just go a little like one more step each time. This is the process I would take you on if we were like circling, but I don't
Right.
want to take 45 minutes here to do that. Um, but you can definitely do it on your own. But just know it'll be tenuous in the sense that everything in you will try to distract from it or go this way or go that way instead of just one step down, one step down, one step down, down into the wound. That's my suggestion.
Yeah, thank you. It feels like I don't have control over which step it kind of steps back up. Because there's like a little bit of sometimes a feeling of a dropping, but then like something comes out of it. But I
That's
think
right.
Probably just, yeah, continuing to
Hmm.
trust that and carve those pathways.
Yeah, and notice the thing that goes, oop, the thing that wants to, I would even
Mm.
call it dissociation, even though it's dissociating into a sense of self. But there's something that wants to, that's what I'm talking about, why it's tenuous. But you don't have to do it all at once either. The mind will be like, oh, I have to do it all right now or not. But it's not a black and white thing. It's more like a subtle attunement and just be willing to take that next step down. And then maybe you come back out of it. And then next time a little bit farther, but just follow that signal. There's a signal to it and it'll kind of guide you in. That's actually pretty powerful if you can kind of tune into that and be
Yeah,
patient.
thank you.
So I had a shift about 6 years ago, and um, a lot of stuff have happened after that. And not to go into too much story about it, but right now there is something that thinks it knows, and there's also something that sees that I cannot know. But I can see that there's some kind of expectations of something to happen. But there's rarely, I would say like 99% of the time, maybe even more, there's no suffering anymore. Things can occur that needs to be taken care of. And I used to call it problems, but now I can see it's not really a problem. It's just things that need to be taken care of. Uh, so I guess the question is, yeah, I think I just want to talk a little bit about it and see if there's any advice, because now also when I have thoughts about meditation, because I used to meditate every morning, and now it's like it really doesn't matter if I meditate or not. So it's just also I can say this winter I had this experience of, I could see my mind was looking for something, and I could see that it's only this. It's only the sensations and thoughts. That's it. There's nothing more. And I got the really intense sensation. There's no escape, it's just this, like, ah. And I had some breakthrough in that, just laughing and crying, and just being with what was. And now everything is fine, but I can feel like there's something expecting something. There's something sneaky there, and it can be okay. It doesn't really matter. It can be okay. It can be there, but I just want to hear if there's some comments on it.
Right on. Yeah, the what struck me as you were speaking first was the thought of there's something attained, and then the thought maybe there's not. Those are thoughts, and they're equally nothing important. Obviously, I think you already are clear there. The idea that something's going to happen is also equally a thought. It's the way that, in the way that the thought is forming and trying to, it's not trying to do anything, but the way it looks like it's trying to direct attention and so forth, has nothing to do with presence at all. And you're clear enough to know that now. You're very, I think you're very clear. So all of those three can just be regarded as thoughts. So let me be a little more nuanced about the something's going to happen thing. Um, you had a shift years ago. You've had a lot of clarity since. You have equanimity clearly. Um, there being some big shift um, in any way that your mind can perceive it now is going to be nothing but a reflection of old thoughts about shifts in the past. Like that's all it is. It's just a remnant. Um, so instead of orienting toward something happening, you probably are very clear on the fact that what's happening right now, let's say happening in quotes, in air quotes, is the only possible thing, period. Like, as you said, there's nothing but sensations and thoughts. I might add that there's also scenery and sound and taste sometimes and smell sometimes. That's all there is. There's nothing else. But the point is, it's right here. There's no later. There's no event. It's not like that. So yeah, instead of orienting to like something happening, maybe orient a little bit more to like natural enjoyment of what already is happening as a kind of normal exploration. Normal meaning anytime during the day or all day long, where presence just comes forward more and more clearly, which means non-dualistic and luminous, right here, 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 like that. Very oceanic experience of presence itself, of the scenery and the sound and sensation. As it just the attunement is one now of spontaneous enjoyment and exploration through curiosity, but nothing intellectual at all. There's no conclusions to be made anymore. That world is gone now. Conclusions are gone, events are gone. Like that, all that stuff will just be thoughts. So this exploration now becomes something where it's just infinitely deepening itself, in a sense,
Mm.
and it has infinite iterations, and it has infinite um, flexibility, and it's deeply peaceful, and it's just here, here, and
Yeah.
noticing if there's any components of that that are catching you. For instance, time um, can catch you for if right now you recognize the visual experience appearing now, or the sound, or the sensations in the body, whatever you want. Notice that that has no past. It's coming out of nothing. It's gone, past. There's the whole idea of past is just obliterated. It also has no direction. It's not going anywhere specific. That would have to be a thought. So it's not in time at all. And so being unbound from time really helps with any sense of anticipation.
Yeah.
And that I'm just doing that through my own exploration right now. That can just go on and on and on. And again, it's spontaneous, not heady, requires no effort.
Yeah.
That's where you're
So
at, I
so
think,
all,
based on what
so
you said.
all, so all the expectation basically is thought, a thought about past experiences, because there's been
That's right.
shifts in the past, and in the past there was a huge difference, and now it's, I would say, it's pretty fine all the time, but there's an undercurrent of something that's going to come up at some point, but I don't have to think about it.
No, it'll be, and you'll see that whatever it is that comes up, it's just explore what it is like without thinking. It's like sensation. Okay, there's a sensational component. There's a visual component to what's being experienced right now. There's a sound component, and then there's consciousness moving however it moves. That's all
Yeah.
there is.
Yeah.
And all that will get clearer and clearer and clearer and lighter and lighter and lighter.
I find this movement so fascinating alone, and I sometimes refer to the separate self as like a mechanism, that sort
Mhm.
of moves in this linear, no, like kind of horizontal linear time between past and future, and it's
Yeah.
it's 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 always looking for something other than this,
Yeah.
and sometimes it's in the most subtlest way, to the point where at some point you don't even know that this is happening. You don't even see it, but there's like this lingering sense of dissatisfaction. Like there's no suffering anymore,
Yeah.
you know, clearly, and you know that there's just this. And to me, it's almost like imagine that mechanism having batteries our entire life, right? And then the batteries kind of basically run out. I don't know. Do you remember? Do you guys remember Duracell bunnies?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
they were putting batteries in and they were running and they were checking the batteries. And this always comes to me. I know it's such a ridiculous example, but to me, that's like I use this metaphor as like the patterns, how certain patterns come to end. They sort of exhaust themselves the more we see what drives them. But also, it's like that very mechanism, that movement that creates the illusion of separate self, or that there is something other than this moment. It is like it has a battery as well. So then I may be wrong, but it sounds to me like the battery is exhausting itself, at your end, but it's still trying. So there's this like, okay, it's sort of stopped. There's no suffering. I see that there's just this, but like, 2 seconds later, and the bunny jumps in again because it still tries to look for something else. It still looks. Do you see what I mean? But it's like the subtlest, like this undercurrent, or maybe even like a tiniest restlessness
Yeah.
underneath that you
It's a
sort of
very good
not.
description.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
a sort it's incredible. I am so geeky about this at the moment because it gets so unbelievably subtle. You can't actually put your finger on it anymore. You're totally sort of satisfied. There's no suffering, and yet there's tiniest movement that still looks for something other than here. So to actually notice that tension and that current, if you can, possibly, because there's going to be it will come with some kind of tension in the body. It will be visceral. So if you can kind of also stay with that tension, and notice that the bunny wanting to just sort of jump to the next thing, then that would be amazing if you could sort of spot that. I hope it makes sense.
Yeah, it makes total sense. I totally recognize it. And just seeing
Yeah.
also that the thought and the bodily sensation is connected somehow.
Yeah.
Usually now I catch the thought. If there's an old thought coming up, sometimes I'm just laughing at it because it's not true, a thought about
Mm-hmm.
whatever kind of suffering it is. But the
Mm-hmm.
bodily sensation is a little bit more tricky, but sometimes it's also connected, yeah.
Yeah, I would definitely connect to that. And especially because you will feel there is going to be a tension or restlessness somewhere, or this kind of like wanting to like jump out, to like
Yeah.
something like that. So to stay with that tension is amazing if you can do that. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Perfect.